So 5 for 181. Stephen Waugh on 49. Oh, and that's his 50. He's played it away nicely on the onside. It'll be picked up on the boundary. So just a single. Stephen Waugh just acknowledging the applause. He's come in and once again he's looked pretty good. So Stephen Waugh 50 in the commentary box now. Ian Chappell and Ian Botham.
Thanks, Tony. Well, Australian fans have come to expect it from Steve Waugh now. Every time he walks to the crease when Australia are in trouble, they are expecting him to do something. He hasn't let them down today. Also his 17,000th first-class run. And certainly fans around Australia expect similar things from Ian Healy when the team's in trouble. He's another man who always seems to get them when the team is in trouble. Dominic Cork has done a very good job for England. He's bowled very tidily and he's picked up 2 wickets. It's been a mixture from Dominic Cork. He's kept the batsman pretty tight, but he's never stopped attacking. He's the sort of bowler who's always looking for a wicket. He's combined the 2 jobs pretty well. Chance just short. Nasser Hussain getting it on the first bounce.
It's a terrific line. Getting the batsman to come to him. And Healy getting quite a big edge. Dropping short of Nasser Hussain. And there's been quite a few that have dropped short today, which has surprised me a little bit. Probably expected there with the ball. Only what, 10, 12 or so overs away from the new ball. He's been doing it all day.
No.
The one area that Dominic Cork has improved a lot on, is worked at, and England management have been onto him for a while now, is to work on that line. He keeps on thinking he's going to get the ball to swing, or like every bowler, he wants it to pitch about middle leg and hit the top of off. They've been getting him to work on that off stump and just outside, and he's been rewarded today. 2 wickets.
No.
That's a very good over. Australia 5 for 184. Australia 5 for 184. Steve Waugh has just reached his half century, and in the process scored 17,000 first-class runs, reaching that figure with his 50. Ian Healy on 4. It's been what you would class as a typical Ashes day. Good battling cricket. Batsmen getting on top for a while and the bowlers hitting back. England with 2 quick wickets having Australia in trouble. We're running on this day quite regularly. Max Kruger keeps his diary of things that happened on this day, and last year, November 20, we saw some brilliant catching from the Australian side. Mark Waugh set the pattern with his diving effort. Chris Cairns was the batsman, and he was diving on the sandpit there in Perth. He had some problems with the field, but that is a magnificent catch. One of the best fieldsmen in the world, Mark Waugh, showing off his talents on that occasion. His brother wasn't to be left out of the action. In fact, it was brilliant catching throughout that innings. Michael Kaspovich, the bowler, and Brian Young, the batsman. Steve Waugh. Not much emotion, as always, from Steve Waugh. Simon Cook, the bowler, as Ian Healy grabs Blair Pocock. Simon Cook went on to get 5 in that game, and Greg Blewett at bat pad catches Stephen Fleming. The Australians in brilliant catching form on this day last year in the test against New Zealand, played in Perth. Just the one slip at the moment for England. I think Alex Stewart's done a pretty good job today, but I think he might just have in mind Steve Waugh's record and be a bit too conscious of that, and consequently perhaps not quite attacking him as he should with 5 down.
It's hard to ignore a record such as Steve Waugh's, and yet again he's come out and done the business. He really is an amazing player and seems to have been around forever. But no, I agree, Ian. I think if there's one area that we could improve on. Well, that to me just makes you wonder if there's another inside edge on that, because pretty adjacent initially. I think yeah, a little inside edge onto the pads. The one thing that at times you think with Alec is that he could possibly be a little bit more aggressive for his field placings, but very hard to criticise. You quite clearly see the inside edge onto the pad. But all in all today, England have stuck to the task pretty well. Look at that for a record. Pretty amazing.
Bit of a waste of energy on that occasion. It's 5 for 184. Australia 5 for 184. They were 4 for 106 one stage when England grabbed a couple of quick wickets.
No.
Dominic Cork really just concentrating on that off stump. It's not a bad ploy against Ian Healy. He likes to cut from pretty close to off stump. A few times I've seen him knock the ball on with an underneath edge.
Good line. I'm not quite sure whether to go back or forward then. Himself into a little bit of trouble, but that's the line to work away. Maybe perhaps a little fuller than that, or to be maybe a little overcritical, because it's been pretty hard work out there for the bowlers and they've done well.
Right.
Ian Healy coming in at 5 for 178. It was a pretty similar score when he came in to join exactly this man, Steve Waugh, against the West Indies at this very ground, and Ian Healy went on to make his highest ever test score. That's well hit. Loves them on the pads, and he knows how to deal with them.
Danger. To stray onto that leg stump. These Australian batsmen don't miss out. Ian Healy just a little bottom hand coming into that, just picking it up over mid-wicket. And just save your energy, you don't bother running for those. Loves it in that area.
It was actually 5 for 196 when Ian Healy came in against the West Indies. Joined Steve Waugh. They took the score to 338. Steve Waugh making 66. Healy 161 not out.
Right.
But it was certainly a stronger tail. You had Paul Rifle batting at 8. Shane Warne was at 9 in that match. That's the partnerships so far in this innings. 72 the best, Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. Maybe having had Australia 4 for 106, England wouldn't be happy getting Australia out for anything under 300, but I think if you look at the pitch, you've got to say any score under 300, England have done pretty well.
Oh, I think they started the game, and you have to look at the way the bookies were laying at 350, 370. They thought was the sort of score that should be scored on here, and I think both captains would have felt that would be about par for the course. So anything under 300 is a great effort.
No.
as well bowled. 5 for 188. Steve Waugh on 50. Ian Healy 8. Very good Ashes battle. The first day of this series being played at the Gabba, mostly in sunshine, although we did lose a bit of time because of bad light. 35 minutes, in fact. This is where England need to maintain concentration. Might be just a little frustrated with Steve Waugh. They know that he's got this habit of playing well when Australia really needs it. Just started to bang a few in short. It's just the period when they need to maintain concentration and keep at the batsman, keep making him play, and hope that he makes a mistake. He's pretty casual, man, just in jest there, holding the ball near the stumps as Ian Healy had walked out of his crease, just suggesting that he might flip them off, test the umpire out. Sorry, mate. Lally hasn't bowled a lot of short ones. He's probably bowled more at Steve Waugh than anybody else. Last ball of his last over, he banged one in and really was a waste of energy. It went miles over the top. And Steve Waugh is never one to look away from a bowler. He'll always look him in the eye and see what he's thinking. Healy hasn't quite got it off the middle, but it'll get him 4.
Ian Healy quite happy to accept the challenge. It's banged in, gets well inside it. It's not quite where he intended. Gets him 4 runs. Might be worth trying another one.
Over the top, 4 more. This is why Healy is so dangerous as a lower order batsman.
This is an area that he is very strong in. Anything short and wide of the off stump, he'll throw the kitchen sink at it. And, all right, it wasn't out of the middle of the bat quite where he intended. Yeah, enough bat on it. It really is. Help yourself to 4 runs. Buffet ball.
That was a good over for Australia. They've moved along to 5 for 197. With Healy once again quickly moving along to 16. 3 boundaries for Healy. 7 boundaries for Steve Waugh in his 51. Mark Taylor winning the toss. He made 46 in his 100th Test match. Just a reminder for viewers in Sydney, Hobart and Melbourne, they'll be leaving shortly for the news. There'll be final scores in the news bulletins and later on this evening, and there will be highlights late tonight. Just check your guides for those highlights. And it's going to be the off spinner Robert Croft now from the Stanley Street end. He's flighted the ball pretty well, certainly bowled accurately. 6 overs, 4 maidens, none for 3. But the important thing is he's bowled in an attacking style, and I think that's his best method. Alex Stewart is giving Croft, 2 short men on the onside. It's almost an old-time off-spinners field. Huey Tayfield of South Africa used to bowl with something similar.
I would just like to see the man on the offside up there at the silly point. I think that it's a much dangerous position. I think it's also a field that the batsman can see.
Waugh has been playing that sort of shot quite a bit lately. We saw him play very well in the Commonwealth Games in the one-day series there. He hit a couple of huge sixes over mid-wicket. I think on that occasion it wasn't so much that he was attempting to play the lofted shot. That was more the sweep shot, and perhaps because of that field placing that Alex Stewart has got. 7 fours for Steve Waugh. 25 scoring shots in his half-century. Very strong behind the wicket as always, particularly square on the offside. Interesting thing with that field placing for Robert Croft is to utilise it fully, he does have to flight the ball.
Stay over.
Wide World of Sports will be bringing you the second day of this Test match from the Gabba tomorrow. Australia versus England in the Ansett Australia first Test. May have popped off the glove or perhaps the bat. So we say goodbye now to viewers in Sydney, Hobart and Melbourne. See you tomorrow.